is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis coming to you with a quick video. I wanted to let you guys know I got some new merchandise available, not just t-shirt anymore. I got different type of t-shirt, different type of shirts and logos that you can purchase on my spread shirt, and also hoodies now. We have expanded and added more to the channel and more merchandise for the brand. Thanks for supporting. It will be in the description and the links will be in the comment section below. Thanks for helping me and supporting the movement. Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis, I'm going. What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis coming to y'all with a quick video. We're going to talk about a hypothetical thing that a lot of people been discussing, and I just wanted to put my 2 cents on it and make some sense out of it and tell you guys what I think. And it's something that we've been hearing for the last 2 years, especially last year when Brooklyn seen D'Angelo Russell take his game to an all-star level. D'Angelo Russell is obviously friends with Devin Booker and Karl Anthony Towns. They did literally say out of their own mouth that they would love to play with each other, especially down the road as they are friends. And it do work because Devin Booker and Russell can play that guard position, and Towns is one of the best all-around centers in NBA history, especially when it comes to the offensive end. So he fits right in. Their defense wouldn't be good, but they'll be able to score a whole lot of points and virtually be unstoppable because, there's nothing you can really do. But one thing I always realize is, let me tell people what I think about D'Angelo Russell in general now. As you guys know, I've been a D'Angelo Russell person. I wanted him to go number 2 in the draft. I feel like he never really fit in LA. He never could find his groove. I don't think he was used right in LA. And some of it was his immaturity. Some of it was he didn't have the same, mindset that he has now. And it probably wakes you up when you get traded or a team shows that they gave up on you or they don't need you. It does bring a different side of you out because now you look at the game different. You look at the NBA different. And, as a player that's the number 2 pick, you do want to live up to that hype to become one of the best players in the NBA because that's what people see you as coming out of college. And he did become one of the better players. He has become a multiple-time 20-point scorer in the NBA. So he has made it. He will get paid, which he did this summer. And now it's just about being steady, becoming an all-star consistently. And the tough part about it is he is in the West. So it's going to be tougher for him to make it compared to being in the East, where he was an injury replacement last year. It may be impossible, honestly, for him to become an all-star in the West unless guys get injured or people start to get traded to the East. But it's going to be brutal for D'Angelo Russell to become another all-star besides like Towns. He can become because he's putting up 25 plus and 10 rebounds, but he also is one of the best offensive players, like I said. But when I always think about this trade for, the Golden State Warriors, I was one of the first people to say it when it got announced that D'Angelo Russell might not be here that long, which means he's not going to be here 2 years or more. And I think we all starting to see that, can you really play a backcourt of Steph and D'Angelo Russell legitimate minutes? We see that Klay Thompson is not 6'7" like we thought. He's actually 6'5", which people thought, but we didn't know if he grew or not because they stopped keeping track after he got into the NBA. And now that we know that Klay Thompson is a legitimate 6'5", you can't really play all those guys plus Draymond Green at the same time without giving up something defensively. And that's the way you got to look at it, that people feel that they should trade D'Angelo Russell for Robert Covington, which makes sense because you have Steph and Klay, which is the best backcourt when healthy in the entire NBA, and they're virtually unstoppable when they're on the same court. And we know how Draymond Green plays when he has Steph and Klay. He's able to handle the ball a little bit more because the floor is more open. Klay Thompson is a significantly better defender, as we know, than D'Angelo Russell, so that helps their defense. And we know Draymond Green is an anchor, especially we don't know if they're going to keep Willie Cauley-Stein. Kevon Looney is decent defensively, but we still have to see how they build this roster. Plus, they look like they can get a top 10 pick this year because they've been one of the worst teams in the NBA so far. And at one point, they was the worst. So you know how the odds are nowadays. So you don't have to be the worst team in the NBA to get the #1 pick because how they redid the lottery and made it updated. So they have a chance to add a big piece on cheap in the draft. And this draft has some quality big men that even if they don't want to keep Looney or Stein, they can still get a big man in this draft and just try to do what they're doing with Pascal and them, allow him to develop, make some mistakes, but also allow him to play big games and allow him to be himself while he's still learning and growing against some scratches and some scars through learning in the NBA the hard way. But we see the same thing this year with guys like Kai Bowman, Jordan Poole, Eric Pascal, and even Damian Lee and these guys. They had to play and they taking a lot of bumps and bruises and they getting a lot of embarrassing losses. They coughing up leads, but this is the only way they're going to learn outside of watching from the sideline. But you rather play, and this is the situation that they in right now. So one of the things that people always say is if you look at the Timberwolves side of the perspective, you get somebody that's better than Jeff Teague. We all know that Jeff Teague is a solid point guard, can run the offense, can really be a veteran leader, especially in the locker room. He can get to the paint. He can occasionally knock down some threes, and he's just a solid vet at this point. But D'Angelo Russell adds a lot more excitement to that team because he's a significantly better three-point shooter. He's just an overall better player and an upgrade over Jeff Teague, especially when it comes to size and shooting ability. Plus, D'Angelo Russell has continued to improve with his playmaking and passing the last couple of years. And just imagine him in transition with Wiggins. And Towns is trailing, and he can do throw a lob to Wiggins, and he can kick it out to Towns. And what happens if Towns runs all the way down and get post position and just finish, or just playing pick and roll with Towns and somebody got to go under the screen. D'Angelo also hit the three, or you go over the screen and he just get to the paint, hit the floater, hit the stop and pop jumper, or dump it off to Towns for a mid-range jumper, or lob it to Towns for a dunk, or kick it out to a Kogi, kick it out to Wiggins, and everything become more simple and more easier to watch. And the thing that people don't realize about the Wolves is that it's not like if they trade Robert Covington, everything go wrong. They still do have other players that can fill somewhat of that role, like Diop. He's a solid player and he's only 23, so he can continue to develop. You got Jared Cover, who's 20 years old. He's 6'6", but he's known as a decent passer and a team player, but also a guy that can knock down a corner three, given the minutes and given the opportunity. So, you got Andrew Wiggins at that three position, and you can just put a guy like Cover or Diop or try to get somebody else to fill that shooting guard role, which shouldn't be that difficult because there's some solid shooting guards available, especially this year coming up. And, you already got your small forward position filled with Andrew Wiggins. So you're not that far away from being competitive in the West. Because one thing that really broke down this Timberwolves team is if Wiggins or Towns is out, they don't have enough offense to really offset those injuries. And D'Angelo Russell will be able to help them with that because he's a 20-point scorer. Plus, he makes the game easier for a lot more of their team because they have a lot less talent than other teams in the West. So he will have to be doing more, and we see him doing that right now with Golden State. And the Warriors look a lot better these last couple weeks than they did all season. But at the same time, they grew together, they learned, and they look a lot more competitive than they have ever did, and now they're winning more games. But that's what will happen with the Wolves. But I think he'll fit better with the Wolves because they need more of Russell to be more of Russell compared to the Warriors, where they need Russell to do certain things but also fit in with Steph, and we haven't even seen them play with Clay. But when you look at it, can Culver really take that next step? With D'Angelo Russell at point, Culver at the two, Wiggins at the three, and then you have Towns at the five, and you can just find another power forward, I think, or even get them in the draft because they're not gonna make it to the playoffs this year. It looks like, and if they don't, they can always get a big in the draft or trade down for another big that they like to fill that spot, or move up in the draft because they have some pieces and some picks that they can do. So I like this trade, but I don't know if the trade puts the Wolves over the top. I still think that they'll be a mediocre team with D'Angelo Russell. I don't think he makes them a playoff contender like immediately because it is some teams like Phoenix, teams like Sacramento, teams like New Orleans when they get Zion back that's going to still be able to compete in that, 9 to 12 range to make the playoffs. You still got Spurs. You still got Portland. You still got OKC. So it's not going to be, oh, we get D'Angelo Russell, we automatically in the playoffs. And another thing before I want to end the video is they're not going to be a championship contender. If you trade for D'Angelo Russell, that's it for you. You're already paying Towns the max. You're paying Wiggins the max. And then you trade all these contracts for Russell, who just got the max. You only got so much room you can really improve this team with, and you're going to be locked into that team for the next 2 to 3 years. It ain't terrible because they all are young, but Wiggins not known for defense. Towns not known for defense. Russell not known for defense. And we know Culver's still learning because he don't even play as much. Plus, he may not be ready for that role just right away. But I think that team would be a very competitive team. I think they'd be a team that's in the running for a playoff spot. But I don't know if you really want to trade for Russell and just be stuck in mediocrity, because if they don't develop and get better, they're going to be a first to second round out in the Western Conference. If they was in the East, it'd be a whole different story. But since they're in the West, this team won't be enough to really take you that far when it comes to building it that way. They got pieces. They got Robert Covington. You know, he'd be a perfect fit on the Warriors because you can put him at that 3 position, and he really will help you defend well with Clay and, you know, Draymond. And you still will have to find the center that can really anchor the paint and rebound. But, you know, he'll be a perfect fit with the Warriors. But at the same time, will he really, you know, stay healthy? Covington been beat up since he's been in Minnesota. And can he stay healthy and play that role? He wouldn't have to do as much because you still do have the other All-Stars on this Golden State team compared to what he got to do for Minnesota. But that could be a positive sign. But other than that, this is a trade that a lot of people want to see um, when it comes to the Wolves making. But from my perspective, I don't think this team will put them over the top with a D'Angelo Russell trade. It'll make them better. It'll make them a lot harder to defend. This is the number 12 offense in the whole entire NBA so far. And, you know, they haven't even been able to stay healthy. So they're going to score a lot of points, but they're going to give up a lot of points, as we've seen the Warriors do with Steph and D'Angelo Russell in their backcourt. So let me know what you guys think. Do you want to see D'Angelo Russell in Minnesota? Do you think that he will be a good fit? Do you think that he can be the missing piece for Minnesota? Or do you think, like I think, this trade will make the Warriors a lot harder to beat because they have a lot more defenders? Because Clay most likely going to miss this whole year because of the season that the Warriors are having right now. And if that does happen, then, you know, he'll be able to get back, hopefully defensively, a little bit to where he was before if he take off this whole season and work on his body and rehab in the summer and be prepared for the 2020-21 season, which I think will be more fair for him, especially because they're terrible right now this year. But, like I said, Covington do become a perfect fit, especially if Clay can be a good defender and Draymond can turn it up another level and you get a big body down there. They can be back the Warriors that everybody was scared of before. But at the same time, Minnesota, I will make that trade, but you also get worse defensively and you get stuck in a team where Towns, Wiggins, and Russell may not be enough to make you a contender. Do you really want to make that trade? But what I will say in the video is that's a trade that makes Towns happy. You want to keep Towns around. This is a 26-12 guy. This is an all-star. This is an all-NBA player, guys. This is not just a regular center. This is one of the best offensive centers we have ever seen so far in his career. And he is dominant. He does need help. He does need more shooting. And Russell does do that. But do you want to really give up a lot of these pieces and some picks to make him happy? But then again, if you do that, he might stay his whole contract. And then he keep your franchise player. Only problem with that is you might be stuck in mediocrity. We've seen a lot of teams make this mistake. And we see a lot of these young teams like Portland, like the Thunder. They in the cap strap position right now. And they're just good enough to make the 7th seed right now. Then you look at teams like San Antonio. They got LaMarcus and DeMar, but they haven't been able to get elite talent. So they still stuck where they're at, fighting for that last bottom seed. So do you want to be one of those teams? Or do you want to wait it out and try to take a gamble on keeping Towns happy and probably get some better pieces through the draft because, you know, guys don't want to come through free agency to Minnesota. So they got a lot of questions they need to be answered. They got a lot of directions they can go. But I really want the Wolves to think before they make this trade. You know, we know that they want D'Angelo Russell. We know that that's been rumored for a couple months now. But will it really be the move that they need to make? Jimmy Butler trade worked. They became a top 4 seed in the West when he was healthy. The only problem is they was never a team that I really considered a championship contender either. I'd rather have Jimmy Butler than D'Angelo Russell if I had to keep it honest. But at the same time, Russell is younger. He fit their age group and what direction they're going in, and he fixed their offensive problem when it comes to the point guard situation. So let me know what you guys think about Russell. Should they give up Covington some picks? Do you think Jared Culver can make that next step and become a legitimate starter? Can he show that he can shoot threes consistently? Can he be that utility jack of all trades guy that we thought when he got drafted? And if he does, that could be a missing piece that people don't think about at that shooting guard position. And Wiggins doesn't commit to defense, and neither do Towns. Can they find a coach that can get the best out of them, or will they finally figure it out once they get Russell, which actually makes them worse? So let me know what you guys think about this. D'Angelo Russell to Minnesota, and do you think the Warriors should do it? Because the Warriors showing they can compete right now. Getting Klay Thompson back, getting a top pick, and still keeping Russell with Steph, Klay, and Draymond, that could be a tough team to beat. That'd be a scary team to beat. But at the same time, we do have to see who they draft and what goes on with the draft. Let me know what you guys think, though.